Am I getting an echo? That's crazy. Let me turn this intro song down. Alrighty. We are back. Open Gym presented by Mojo Sports Gear. This is episode 7. I'm just going to throw that episode out. You know, I'm Rondell here with Marvell and T. How y'all doing?
Living the dream.
Feeling great, man. We got a lot to talk about, man.
I think I'm in playoff mode.
For sure. Game time.
Game time.
Oh, definitely.
Was it tea time?
Could be tea time.
Could be tea time.
Tea usually means turned over this way. Teed up.
Alright.
Get teed up like Porzingis.
Man, bogus call.
Bogus call.
Bogus call.
You don't like it?
No, that was terrible.
I
That
guess.
was terrible.
I mean, I'm not agreeing with
The
call.
fix is in. But
I don't even know if you have. Why would you even try to have to fix
Don't
the
even say that.
Mavericks versus the Clippers? I don't even. NBA just sometimes they find a way.
Because after the second half, no, after the first half, it was a 48-18 run for the Mavericks. That's devastating. You look at that potential as Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's unique. You know, it's 7-3 and you know.
All right, hold on. This is a bunch of tangents.
Man.
We already done starting off.
We need a tangent meter, man. I'm telling you,
saying?
like a tangent bail.
We need
Every
something.
time that happens.
I keep crossing over, man.
Tangent.
I mean, we supposed to start off with the bubble awards, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
Giving out these awards.
My fault. I dribble too much.
Yes, sir. Need to pass.
James Harden.
It's crazy. So,
Continue.
starting off with the bubble awards, let's at least look at what they got of an award list. So, that's their award list for, the end of the season. Hold on real quick. Just talk about it,
The end of season award. Okay. Start with the MVP. My vote. I'll be honest. Best player, best team, most dominant. Giannis. Rookie of the year. It's Ja. Even though they blew it in the bubble, personally, it's been Ja though. I still think no matter what, Memphis had a great year just because they were close to the playoffs. They were far. Now I know they had the spot and they blew it, but they're still far ahead of where I expected them to be after year one. And Ja Morant's a huge reason why that happened. So he's, to me, hands down the rookie of the year. I get why Zion's on that list, but at the same time, I do kind of feel like it's disrespectful because I need to see more guys. I think he played 15, 20 games, somewhere around there. That's not enough. It needs to. I get that when he did play, he was balling out. He was looking like one of the best rookies and all that. I'm just not a fan of you telling me out of all the talented rookies that we had this year that Zion Williamson is one of the 3 best from just this year alone with everything considered. I wouldn't necessarily do that, but I give it to Ja.
Wait, hold on. Did Kendrick Nunn do more for the Miami Heat than Tyler Hero?
I think Kendrick Nunn was more of a stable force. I think Tyler Hero had more splash games. I think he has a better outlook on the long term. I think Kendrick Nunn was more like half shock because he wasn't an undrafted rookie, but the other half is he did take jobs. Like he took Goran Dragic's job. He was a starter for him. He did what he needed to do. But speaking of Tyler Hero, that's a name that I wouldn't have batted an eye on if I would have seen him on the list, not Zion, just because of games played. I mean, Again, Zion looked like one of the best rookies when he did play, but I need to see more. It's just me. Defensive player of the year. That's tough. I'll give it to Gobert, just because, he's still the Eiffel Tower. And
over Giannis?
Yeah, Giannis didn't shut down the NBA. Gobert shut down the NBA. Yeah. Bruh. Really? He went from March until August or July. We didn't have any basketball because of Rudy Gobert. That man's
All
defensive
right,
player of the year. Nobody stops the league like Rudy Gobert.
all right, bro.
Period. NBA six man of the year. I give it to Dennis Schroeder, and I'm gonna tell you why. Dennis Schroeder doesn't have to split votes. Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell is going to split votes. Lou Williams might have the voter fatigue. People tired of voting for him there. Montrezl Harrell, he won't get it over Lou Williams because of if I'm voting for a Clipper, I'm going to probably vote for Lou Williams. Dennis Schroeder just all alone. He will get most of the votes, and he's a well deserving player. I mean, it's one thing to be a bench player; it's another thing to set the role, knowing that you can very well start. So
You still need the list?
yes,
All right,
I
bro.
don't know why you just took it away from me.
You know, you was
I'm
going.
researching.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one thing. Most improved player.
I gotta give it to Brandon. I don't know about you.
He in the running, but I'm gonna give it to Bam just because I think that with Brandon Ingram, he improved absolutely, but you could argue that he's hitting his peak of where you expected him to be. I don't think you expected Bam to be this. Bam was an energy guy coming out. Now Bam's an all around player, and he's one of those special type of players. And as far as improvement, I don't think nobody has a bigger improvement from year one to year two as far as like Bam has. Brandon Ingram, it's gonna be close. Same with Luca. Like Luca's, he's deservingly on that list. I think he's more in the MVP conversation personally,
Yeah, me
but
too.
I think Luca did develop and he got a whole lot better. So shout out to him. Um, and coach of the year, uh, shout out to Billy Donovan. I'll
For
give it to
real.
him. Yeah.
Thunder, they're actually relevant. I didn't think they would be.
That's why I give it to him. I like when you can take the expectations and look at them being low and kind of we just trying to fill it out. We trying to do some things here and there and just see where it takes us. Or you can say screw that. Let's try to get these dubs and let's play the Rockets round one. Um, and that's what Billy Donovan did. He instilled a balance to his team. He instilled a winning mentality. He instilled an attitude in his team that took control of what he does, and it's showing in their gameplay. They're a well-oiled machine, and they exceeded all kind of expectations. Shout out to Bud and
I
Coach
mean, they
Nurse.
weren't looking good game one though.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to run your course at some point in time. Sometimes progression to the mean is appropriate, and the Thunder were only going to go so far. But Billy Donovan to have him in this case, shout out to him because I mean he's done a great job and he showed that he can coach. It wasn't just Westbrook. It wasn't just having Paul George.
Right.
Those guys may have actually harnessed his coaching ability, so to speak, just because you had those guys that you can rely on. They kind of a crutch. Now with some guys going, you had to coach, and I just think he did a bang up job. I mean, Nick Nurse, he's bringing up the rear because to lose Kawhi Leonard and still be in a position to be a contender, championship contender, I mean, that's an outstanding coaching job. I just think that he's did what Billy Donovan's doing this year. I just think it's more of a shock because my expectations for the Thunder were a lot lower than my expectations for Toronto.
Right. All right. So I'm gonna go real quick. Then I'm gonna let you go, Marvell. But MVP, I got LeBron. It's year 17. He's still showing up, showing out. He's still the leader on his team. I mean, why not just give it to the man? Rookie of the year, I got Ja. I would have loved if Tyler Hero was there, other than Kendrick Nunn. I probably would have. Nah, I would still give it to Ja, but it would have been a toss up for me. Defensive player of the year, I'm gonna give it to Giannis. I get what you meant. I know it was a joke, but still, Rudy Gobert is still he a lockdown defender, but Giannis, to me, he a different beast. He a different beast. Six man, I'm just gonna give it to Lou Williams because I mean, who else is a perfect six man other than Lou Williams? Like, I'm just gonna have to give it to him. Most improved, Brandon Ingram, like I said, because I don't know, because what was it? He had the blood clot last year, right? I don't know. I don't know how. I don't think he was balling out last year like that. And then this year, he just seems to be. He came with a vengeance. It's sad to see him not in the playoffs, but hey, that's how the cookie crumble. Coach of the year, I got to give it to Billy Donovan because, like you said, I ain't expect much from the Thunder. So to see them in the playoffs, first round, and the real only star they got is Chris Paul. Like that reminds me of what was it, the Hornets back in the day where he was leading. Yeah. So I gotta give it to Billy Donovan for Coach of the Year. What about you, Marvell?
So for my MVP pick, I'm picking Giannis Antetokounmpo for averaging 29 and a half and 13 and a half with 5.5. He's led to the Bucks being the best team in the East, and he's been a dominant force the entire season with consistency, and has shown improvement in his shooting, and has shown that he could lead a team to the playoffs. But the question is, what can he do in the playoffs? Rookie of the Year is John Morant, clear. There's no debate here. He's meant more to his team than any other rookie has. Zion Williamson hasn't played anything of a complete season or has more games than John Morant. Kendrick Nunn was a good player and has shocked a lot of people, but he hasn't had the major impact that John Morant has to his team. So I'm giving it to John Morant. Defensive Player of the Year, Anthony Davis. He averages 2.3 blocks and a steal and a half. And he's really had the narrative going into this season of being, I want to be the defensive player of the year and an NBA champion. So his mindset was already clear, and it's shown in a lot of games where he's been the defensive force for the LA Lakers, leading in every category other than assists. So Anthony Davis has had a tremendous year. I would say that he deserves defensive player of the year at least. Sixth man, give me Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder, again, more than Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams, to me, has meant more to the success for the Oklahoma City Thunder, averaging 19 off the bench and 4 or 5 assists. And Dennis Schroeder has had multiple games where he's shown out for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and being a great backup for Chris Paul and bringing energy for that bench is substantial for them, and that's why they're here and one of the top seeds in the playoffs in the Western Conference. Most improving player, I give it to Bam. Bam has increased Miami's dangerous status, and the way they run their offense is kind of weird because I always think that Jimmy Butler led teams look kind of funny the way they run their offenses. But I think that Bam has shown that he could be a complementary piece for Jimmy Butler if you're going to use Jimmy Butler as your best player. And I think that Bam has shown that he could be a top 5 center in the league in a couple of years. And Coach of the Year, give me Nick Nurse.
Nicky Nurse.
Give me Nick Nurse because of the narrative. You have the narrative of losing Kawhi Leonard, debatably the best player in the world, and nobody would thought they would make it this far as clinching the playoffs as early as they did, playing as great defense as they did, and Nick Nurse using all the talent that he had without Kawhi and still making it look like they are a phenomenal team.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. They was a great team before Kawhi. He just took them a step above. So
I mean, they made a few moves and then like some players developed.
yeah,
But like Nick Nurse has took it to the next level. Mind you, you have to give him credit because he's a great defensive coach. He comes from the Greg Popovich system. He knows what he's doing. I mean, Boonhauser said too, but Nick Nurse has he's proved the narrative that he can lead his team to the top spot without losing a top 3 player in the world. See what I mean?
right.
So,
Mhm. Okay. Well, since we talked about theirs, let's focus a little bit more on the bubble. What was it? 8 games in there.
Yep.
So let's focus on the players that was strictly just in the bubble, and let's give like MVP, best team, defense, offense. Like what y'all looking at?
Well, the MVP is clearly Dame. Devin Booker is definitely the runner up. He went 8-0. I just personally feel like Dame Lillard was the best player. Um, he took his team and he carried them to that 8th spot. Devin Booker tried his hardest, and best believe if he would have ended up and that's how close to me it was. Is if Devin Booker would have ended up in the same position as Damian Lillard, it would have went to Damian. I mean, it would have went to Devin Booker. Damian Lillard ended up just that was a run unlike anything I've well, obviously unlike anything that anybody's ever seen because we've never seen nobody in a bubble like that. But the way that he took over and wasn't taking, a loss for nothing, even when he did lose, when he missed them two free throws, you see the way he bounced back. Dame has always been a true leader. He's been a great player. He's been, the guy, and he's to me, he's always been in that discussion. Now, it's only going to be one MVP every year. I get that, but Dame Lillard has been an MVP type player for years, and it's good that he's getting really the acclaim that he should have been getting. But I just think that there has not been one player that scared you as much as Damian Lillard, and still at this moment, um, I don't think there's a player scarier than Damian Lillard, so I'll definitely give it to him.
Okay. I mean, I gotta agree with that fact. I do. I mean, as much as I would want to give it to Devin Booker, their team didn't make it, and I mean, is that's a hill to climb to bring the Suns to the playoffs.
Yeah.
They ain't been good since what, like Shaq and Steve Nash era. So
And Sean Marion, and yeah,
they haven't been good in a while.
Rajah Bell.
they had them years with Dragic and Bledsoe where they were on the cusp, but they
Right.
were, that's where that West East debate came in. Like, okay, well, the 10th best team in the West will be the fourth best team in the East, and that 10th best team a lot of times were the Phoenix Suns. But as far as good, nah.
Nah. Right. What about you, Mario?
Everything that T said, I can't.
Like, you can't argue that, right?
Yeah, that's everything I would have said.
All right.
I'm not even gonna waste time here.
All right. What about best team? What y'all got? I mean, it's kind of hands down the Suns in my opinion.
Yeah, I just feel real bad for the Suns because 8 games in a row
8-0.
and for nothing.
I mean, was it really for nothing?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
That's morale for next year.
For morale, yes, but I just want to know, like, if Devin Booker would really want to still stay there, though.
It's optimism.
I mean, why not?
If anything, this might have been the thing that. Now, granted, mentality is a thing. So his mentality could be, oh well, I had to do this much for our team to not make the playoffs. Get me out of here. Or he can look at it and say, we started to build something here. We a piece or two away. We can do something. And let's start demanding. Let's give me some help. Let's start demanding. The more out of everybody else. Again, the Devin Booker we seen before this basketball season complaining about double teams. I want to see that Devin Booker that welcomes them now because I'm that dude. I'm going to take over. Phoenix Suns will make the playoffs because and that's the Devin Booker that I want to see. I want to see the Devin Booker coming with a vengeance. I want to see the Phoenix Suns and the guys that didn't run scared. I want to see what they take this time. And one thing that we have to remember too is if the season starts the way they wanted to, we ain't that far off from the 2021 season. So the Phoenix Suns can still ride that wave and say, all right, let's keep this momentum going where we don't have to go 8 straight games at the end of the season to not make the playoffs. We can win 8 straight games to go into the playoffs the right way and do it that way. So it's just I want to see how that mentality goes for a team that didn't have nothing to play for. What can this do for them?
And they have a top 10 pick, don't they?
They should.
Probably. I don't know.
They should have a higher up. I think they're might be picking in that 12, 11, 12 range down because of their they went over a couple teams. So where they would have originally picked, I think the Pelicans are picked there now because they went over them. San Antonio, Sacramento, all those teams. I think they were ahead of Phoenix at the beginning of this bubble. So Phoenix kind of messed up their spot as far as a draft pick. But when you're Phoenix, you've been drafting in the lottery for the last 15 years. You want to not be there. You want to be able to pick closer to the 20. So I just think that this momentum can carry them. And if nothing else, Devin Booker gets through half of next year and you're still 15, 20 games out of, the playoff spot or something like that, then I can see him wanting to go somewhere else. But I want to see him stick it out. And like DeAndre Ayton was saying, he got help. He got somebody that he can run into in that thing with. So, and again, I'm tired of seeing players get a little success and then I want to vote somewhere else. I want to do it. Somebody stay. And you can be a Dame Lillard. Because Dame Lillard, the big reason why he gets the respect he gets is because he wants to do it where he wants to do it at, and that's Portland. He wants to do it with the team that drafted him, the team that was loyal to him, the team that he made his own. So, I mean, I just look for that to start being a trend, not that run and hide every time something goes a certain type of way.
I mean, seeing as this off season about to be real short for them, it would be, I don't know, it'd be crazy not to think that their momentum would carry over. So I mean, we'll just have to see. But so most improved player in this bubble. Who y'all looking at?
MPJ,
You said who?
MPJ, Michael Porter Jr.
Nah.
He's just, I don't even want to say improved because you always knew he had that. You always knew if he got some minutes, this would show up. You always knew he could dominate. At the same time, always knowing something don't mean that it's going to happen. So to see him, come into that bubble and speaking of a summer, it seems like that's what he did with his summer. He got healthier. He got better in that time off, and he came into this bubble and saying, "Let me be the Michael Porter Jr. that was looked at as a top 3 pick. Let me be that dude. Let me be the Emory Bates before Emory Bates." Um, and he's done that. He's shown that he's not only one of the Nuggets' best players, he could potentially be one of the best players in the league. And if his progression goes the way that it's been going from last year into this bubble, sky's the limit, like we always knew. But it's one thing to know that you have the capability. But Michael Porter Jr. shows that he had that in his bag, and it's good to see.
How you thinking about T.J. Warren? I mean, being most improved.
I don't think T.J. Warren necessarily he improved
Like, he
from the.
improved a whole lot.
Yeah, he did. I just think that he showed more out of his bag, and when he showed, like he showed more during the regular season,
Right.
and he took it another step coming to playoff time. I mean, coming to bubble time. I think Michael Porter Jr. didn't show enough during the regular season, and then once he got in the bubble, he looked like a bona fide star. And I think that's what gives him the edge over T.J. Warren. Is T.J. Warren elevated his game? Michael Porter Jr. pretty much reinvented his game, and that's the improvement became a different player. Where T.J. Warren just added a little more extra to what he had in his bag.
Okay. What about you, Marvell?
I give it to TJ Warren,
Okay.
honestly. In contrast to Michael Porter Jr., I feel that we just haven't seen enough from him in games in order for us to say that he's improved. Like we don't only seen sample sizes of like 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a couple of games, if anything. But yeah, we can't say he improved if we haven't really seen anything from him yet. But I like the direction he's going. Maybe if he does go on this track, that he will be the most improved because I think that they said that he'll be no, he was in this going. He was going to be in this running for MVP, right? Not MVP, but rookie of the year, right?
Who was?
Yeah, MPJ, or is he in next year technically?
Uh,
Because I know Bo. They said that Bo's going to be in next year's technically.
he might be next year too.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know because I would think Bo would have to be in this year's too because like the bubble was the same season.
No, they officially announced that Bo's going to be in next season. So, I still give it to TJ Warren because, mind you, he's never scored a 30 ball in his career until the bubble.
All right.
Yeah, that's actual fact. So
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it.
yeah, so I feel like with him improving so much, doing so much for the Pacers, showing an interest of showing that they have a scoring option that came to play for Indiana instead of just questioning what was Oladipo going to do, what about the injuries, how Sabonis going to play in the playoffs. They have a lot of questions, and granted that Indiana's one of the quiet teams in the playoffs, they have a lot of questions. So with TJ Warren showing out and showing that he's did some improvement, some time away for playing the game, that he could do some work and do some damage on anybody who he's going to play in the playoffs. Now he's been getting cold, but we're not talking about the playoffs right now.
All right.
So
Okay.
that's my vote.
Well, we're about to go on break. When we come back, we'll be talking a little bit more bubble awards. Then we'll be recapping the playoffs and upcoming games. All right, we back.
You was trying to catch me.
I was not trying to catch you, man.
Yes, you were. I see you plotting.
Man, that Cody commercial keep getting me.
No,
All right.
no, you was plotting. It's okay. I got you.
But we're gonna continue with these bubble awards. We're gonna talk about best defensive player, which is kind of hard because no one's playing defense in this bubble. But who wants to start off?
Gobert.
Rudy Gobert again.
I
Yep.
would say Colbert too.
He at least tries. Like that's you. Like when Rudy Gobert plays defense, you can see it. I think Joker's gave him some problems. Joker's gives a lot of people problems. But outside of that, for the most part, I mean, Rudy Gobert's been playing his level of defense. Um, you got your usual suspects. I mean, Kawhi's playing some D. Paul George. They're trying, but I mean, for the most part, it was Gobert. I mean, hands down.
Okay, so I'm just gonna take y'all word for that. Since y'all both agree with Gobert, we just
Yeah,
gonna take
because
your word.
he's Utah's defensive identity.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's what they strive off for. You have Donovan Mitchell, and you have defense. Basically, I would say even go as far as saying like Utah Jazz is the early 2010s version of the Chicago Bulls.
I'm mad you really just dropped that in there, but go on, explain your reason.
Because you have Donovan Mitchell as the Derrick Rose, and then you have pure defense. You have Rudy Gobert as the Joakim Noah of the squad, and the only thing that's missing is a Carlos Boozer because they don't have anyone that will give you 20 outside of Donovan Mitchell. Really,
Man, who on the
so
squad though?
they were a good squad. They were a
No,
real good squad.
who on Utah right now? And they got Joe Ingles or
Joe
whatever?
Ingles is not going to get you no more than 13
No more than 13.
Mm.
He'll at least give you 16.
on a good night. On a real good night, actually, he'll give you like 30, like surprisingly.
Ingles is like the glue. He's one of those guys you need to have on your team. Utah just needs a little more. And I mean in this Western Conference especially, it's that margin is that thin. Like you need somebody else. Utah could. And
Where's
you know,
Bogdanovich?
He's hurt.
he's hurt.
He's hurt. And Mike Conley is out
Yeah.
Mike
because of the
Conley's
birth
coming
of
back.
his
He's actually
child.
officially coming back in the bubble.
I
Dang,
think
they got
he's back in the bubble now. They said he should be ready by game 3 if everything holds true to form. But by that time they could be down 0-2. You know, and this ain't how it used to be where you down 0-2 and then you travel to Utah. And it's
Right.
hard to win in Utah. So, you know, they could easily tie it up 2-2. You're in that bubble. So Mike Conley's gonna need to come and be the Mike Conley he hasn't been all year. Maybe the baby did weigh something on him. Maybe that's why he wasn't playing the way he needs to play because his head was somewhere else. Who knows? But all I know is when he comes back, he needs to bring it because if he doesn't bring it, they're going home. He could be with his kid a lot sooner. Just tell you that now.
Yeah.
Rockabye, baby.
all right.
Wow, that's deep.
For real.
So, what was the other one?
Bro, how you gonna access what you were doing?
I know, right?
How we supposed to know?
I'm over here slacking. All right? The coach, the best coach in the bubble.
Monty.
Monty Williams
Money Monty.
for the Phoenix Suns. 8-0.
I mean, and you know, I'm gonna say something else about Monty. You could be Alvin Gentry. It ain't his fault. Let me start off by saying that. Injuries happen.
I forgot to put them on the rundown. Yeah, they got fired. What, Gentry and who was that other guy?
Jim Boylan.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the Chicago Bulls.
we can talk about that real quick.
Yeah, well, Boylan deserved to get canned.
Right.
Gentry, I wouldn't say necessarily he deserved to, but this is just kind of how the way it goes too. You bring an older kind of cat in there to kind of teach the leadership, the being a man thing, the old school kind of way of approach, and that's what Gentry did for that team. He could have stayed along if they would have, did what they were supposed to do, make the playoffs, won some more games, whatever. Because they didn't, he's an easy, guy to fire too. And then you bring somebody that fits the mold. I can almost guarantee you to be a younger coach, somebody that will relate more to the players and blah blah. Skip.
Kind of how like they did Golden State or Boston.
Yeah, somewhere around that area. But I think that I said it to say this. You can look at Gentry's team and say that the Pelicans they faltered too though. They had something to play for. They did need to come out and get punched in the mouth. They needed to win every game. The schedule was favorable for them to win at least a majority of their games, and they tucked their tail in and they ran like some punks. And that falls on your head coach when your team does that. Monty Williams didn't let his team do that. Monty Williams let them stay and fight like men, and they played well. They played like a team that wanted to be there, a team that loves to play basketball, a team that wants to show what they're about and take that into the next year. And that's a reflection of their head coach. Monty Williams got them boys ready to go, and something they can be proud of. And if you've seen his speech, he let them know that at the end of the day, your coach is going to coach to the maximum ability that he can coach every game. And that's why I give him credit, because they could have just went there and did the Washington Wizards thing, get punched in the mouth all bubble long, and then go home and chill with your family. But he didn't do that, and I respect that as a head coach.
Honestly, the Wizard slander on the show is it's kind of ridiculous,
They're
guys.
terrible. That's a terrible organization.
That's
Terrible
crazy.
players, terrible color scheme, terrible name change, terrible.
So you like the Washington Bullets way better?
Yep.
All right.
Thug life.
Okay. What about you,
Gangsta
Marvin?
right here.
Sheesh.
I'm not politically
That's
correct,
great.
Daddy.
Oh man.
Gangsta.
What about you, Marvin? What's your thoughts on?
Monty Williams, I agree. I feel that he does show the personality of the team, which is fight, grit, determination, will, and the fact that he it showed what team really came to work in this situation. This is why the narrative of these teams that were the lower seeds came in. This makes the NBA look good from that standpoint because it turned out well. This makes that plan of how they were in the position of being a low seed and potentially taking that eighth spot and making the playoffs. This is good. This is the Phoenix Suns are that example. And but what you could take away from it most was the Phoenix Suns really showed that they worked on their chemistry, they believed in themselves, they believed in their abilities, and they show that they can show some great improvements later on and take advantage of the moment. And that's where I feel that Monty Williams came in and took them to a different level of just making sure they were in the same mindset, they were on the same page, and making sure they capitalized on where they were. So I appreciate that in that sense. And they played some tough teams. They played some real tough teams. They beat the Clippers. They beat playoff teams. You know what I mean? So it's great to see them improve. Then you would hope that they would stick together as a unit. We'll see what happens for them in their future.
Okay. I agree with what y'all say about Monty Williams. He took his team 8-0. I mean, that's not easy to do, but no one was really playing defense either. But you got to outscore your opponents too. So, all right. So let's start with these NBA playoffs. Let's recap these games that just happened. Game one. What y'all want to start off with?
Ooh, let's start off with
I want to start off with the biggest ones.
Which upset do you want to start with?
I mean, me personally, I want to start with the Bucks, but we can start with the Lakers. Huh?
We go with the Bucks.
All right.
Just because that's a legitimate upset. I won't say that the Lakers, Portland. I'm not gonna say that's necessarily an upset. I mean, seeding wise, yeah, because 8-1, yeah. But as far as that's where context come into play at, that Portland team ain't a seed. They are by and again, you are what your record says you are. You are where you're slotted. I get all of that, but they're not typical. Orlando was without their best players. There ain't no excuse, especially if you're Milwaukee. You're trying to be a championship contender. You don't lose games that you have to win. You're supposed to at full staff. You think that they're going to beat down the Orlando Magic.
I mean, these free throw percentages kind of killed them.
Yeah, I mean, you can lose games yourself. I get that, but it's still. I'm one of those people that believes that to be a great team, be a championship team, you need to beat the tough teams. Show how well against the other contenders, but you need to destroy the teams that you're supposed to beat.
Right.
Flat out. And I think that when you come out and you set the tone that Orlando can beat you without Aaron Gordon, without Jonathan,
Wait,
Isaac.
where Aaron Gordon?
Aaron Gordon was out yesterday. Um, and once those kind of things happen, you're letting me know that you're not ready yet. Now going back a couple years ago, or a few years back now, the Celtics, I know they struggle with the Atlanta Hawks, and they end up winning the championship that same year. So sometimes that can build some toughness, that can build character. But I do think the difference between the Celtics team and this Bucks team is this Bucks team has less room for error. I think you need to come out and establish dominance if you're Milwaukee. I think it's a race to get some downtime, and you want to destroy Orlando so you can have a game or two to kind of chill, lick your wounds, kind of get healthy for the next round, and get your focus together. Have nothing to do with this, especially the way this bubble is. Now you're gonna have to play another unnecessary game. You might have to play another couple of unnecessary games if you don't show up and show out. So I think that Milwaukee is a bigger picture. I still think they beat Orlando handily. I still think they advance to the next round. I still have them as a championship contender. But the bigger picture is you need to establish dominance today, and I don't think they've done that.
Okay. What about you, Marvell?
Typically, game ones are supposed to be statement games for dominant teams such as Milwaukee Bucks or like 1 seed or 2 seeds and possibly a strong 3 seed. They're supposed to be games where you lay out the line of what the context of what's going to happen for the
Right.
rest of the season. They're making a statement for the rest of their conference. They're making a statement that we're going to be here for the finals. They're supposed to be here to establish who they are and have with an MVP on their team, you know. But they didn't capitalize, and especially from the free throw line with the grotesque 64% with 18 out of 28 made, and a 33% shooting from three, 14 of 42, and they shot one more shot more than the Orlando Magic, but Orlando made 5 more shots. So Orlando also made 18 of 19 free throws. So imagine if they were to make a few more of those free throws. That's what
Right.
killed them. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's inexcusable. They have to get their acts together. And they saying like they were down in halftime. You seen Brooke Lopez was cool kicking chairs. This is unacceptable. They're not here yet.
That was frustrated. Like,
They haven't activated their minds yet.
it seemed
I still have them winning the series,
right.
but I think for me, I think they need to win 4 straight.
Okay. Well, I
need
mean,
to
it seemed like
make a statement.
Giannis was there. He got 31 points, 7 rebounds. Well, no, 17 rebounds and 7 assists. But
But
it
their
seemed like
bench
his
was
team.
terrible.
See, it ain't just about Giannis, and that's what I mean by you have to dominate the team that you're supposed to beat.
Right.
Because to do that, like Giannis is a dominant player. Period.
Yeah.
Everybody else has to be dominant too, though. George Hill needs to be dominant. Eric Bledsoe needs to be dominant. Chris Middleton needs to be dominant. Brooke Lopez needs to be dominant.
Brooke Lopez needs to be dominant defensively because Nicole got 35 points. I didn't even know that.
That's unacceptable. But that's what's going to happen when you just think that teams are going to let you push them over. We know Giannis is going to bring the pain, but you don't have the same thing that's hurting the Lakers is the fact that we know what your core guys are going to do. It's everybody else. But the Lakers, we know what 1 and 2 is going to do. 3 to 15, that's the problem. Milwaukee, same thing. Except we know what Giannis is going to do. We're supposed to know what Chris Middleton is going to do. Where was he? Everybody else needs to show up and show out. Otherwise, it's a real problem, and that needs to happen more often than not. They were saying it earlier. I think it was Charles Barkley when he was saying that Portland can afford to have Dame Lillard have an off game.
Right.
CJ McCollum can have an off game. Somebody on that team can have an off game because they have enough. Milwaukee can't afford to have Chris Middleton have bad games. They can't afford to have Bledsoe have bad games. Connaughton have bad games. DiVincenzo have bad games because they need to. Their margin of error is way different than almost everybody else as far as a contender. We know what Giannis is going to do, but Giannis is only going to do so much. Look at them 2010 LeBron teams. I mean, the 2010 LeBron team. LeBron was as dominant as he could be. Nobody else came and brought the noise for him. He just needed a little bit from somebody else. Nobody else would do that. They got bounced. Same thing will happen with Milwaukee if the others don't show up. It's always about the others.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about the other upset. Lakers and Trailblazers. God damn.
You know what time it is? Dame time.
Dame time.
I mean,
That's wow.
And I mean, looking at the stats, neither team really was playing at their best.
that's what's scary if you're LA.
Yeah.
Because Damian Lillard dominates. And at this point, Anthony Davis needs to dominate if you're LA. Because LeBron's going to do what LeBron does. He's an all-around dude. I think he had 25, 15, and 15 or somewhere like that.
He was 23, 17, 16.
Okay, yeah, he went crazy.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show you that LeBron can go crazy. That's his version of crazy. Anthony Davis needs to be a 40 ball kind of dude at this point in time.
All right.
Damian Lillard usually will be able to, have that matchup. We got Caruso, Danny Green, KCP, Deion Way. Those are the guys that's going to guard Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard will eat every last one of them up for lunch. He spared them yesterday. That's not going to keep happening through the series because Damian Lillard still has that mentality. It kind of reminds me of Kimba back when he was playing in March Madness.
Right.
This tournament kind of reminds me of that, where it may not be the best team. Usually in the NBA, it's the best team that's going to win. You need 4 out of 7. That's usually the case. This may be a little bit different. This may be the hottest team, the hottest player. Dame Lillard can be that kind of guy that can take that team to the promised land by being so hot in a short span of time. And I think that his mindset is to do that. He didn't have to do that in game 1, and they still got the win. If you would have told Dame Lillard that at the beginning of that game, this is what was going to happen, do you still think you get the win? He may have said, yeah, don't know if he would have believed it because he knows that he has to be going crazy. He has to do the same things that got him in the playoff spot to begin with. So I think now when you're looking at Portland, you're like, well, we're up 1-0, and Damian Lillard didn't even have to go crazy. We didn't play the type of ball we needed to play. And they may have been a little fatigued. I know the Lakers were resting up a little bit. Portland was playing a lot, and they still had to play that play-in game. So they may be a little bit tired, still came away victorious. If you're LA, you need to be very afraid.
I mean, to be honest, LeBron I know he wants to sit back, just dish the ball, but he's going to have to be on attack mode like he normally is.
Absolutely. And I think that the Lakers need to figure that out quickly or they'll be bounced out quickly. That's why they didn't want to play Portland. They were never going to say it because competitors never do, but they didn't want to see Portland. That's the worst matchup for them. Portland has something for every one of LA's weaknesses. LA can't really guard the point guard. Damian Lillard is the point guard you have to deal with. Mm-hmm. Their strength is their bigs. Well, Portland has the bigs to be able to kind of counter that. I think Trevor Ariza being out hurts them, but it's the fact that the Portland Trailblazers have more of a complete team right now. It's just that if LeBron James is his best LeBron James and Anthony Davis, that's the wild card. If he's the Anthony Davis that he needs to be, LA can do what they need to do in this series. If Anthony Davis needs to play the same way that he played when New Orleans beat Portland a few years back. He needs to be the best player on the floor. If it's Dame Lillard's the best player on the floor, LA's going home. That's just going to be what it is. Right. So, I mean, they just want to figure it out. They don't have the depth.
All right, what about you, Marvell?
The reason why I'm starting to see why the Lakers' weakness is showing is they're trying to shoot. They're trying to get into a shootout with the Portland Trailblazers, and that's dangerous to do.
When you look at their team, they got a bunch of shooters.
Right, but what I'm saying is they're just trying to go shot for shot for shot for shot for shot for shot for shot, and they're shooting inefficiently. Taking a look at it, Caldwell Pope, 29 minutes, 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 0 of 9 from the field goal, 0 of 5 from 3, 1 of 2 from free throw. Hold on, let me tell you as a team. The Lakers shot 5 of 32 from 3. They're trying to go shot for shot with Portland, and Portland is inefficient in themselves. They only shot 31 out of 79 as a field goal as a team,
Right.
39% from the field, and the Lakers shot 35. The Lakers made 3 more shots. That's crazy. Like the amount of threes they're trying to attempt against them, and they're making poor decisions. Their 3 point shots aren't going. What they need to do is they need to make Portland shots a lot more tougher. They have to secure those spots on defense. Granted that they had 11 steals, carry off that momentum, and granted that Portland had 8 blocks.
I mean, with 17 offensive rebounds, they should have had more second chance points.
Exactly. They need to start capitalizing a lot more on simpler shots. They need to just go ahead and just play more to their strengths. 22 assists, cool, but you know that the Lakers are more capable of that.
Right.
They have great ball movement, and I don't know why it's not showing enough for right now. They need to pick up the pace. They need to show some more tempo. They need to show that, hey, like, we know we're not underestimating you, but like, we still don't have our shit together. You know,
Wait, what?
they still don't have their ish together.
Okay. No. That threw me off for a minute. I was going to say. Okay.
So, yeah. So what they need to do is they need to just gather themselves more and get their shots going.
Right.
They need to get more easy shots for them. They need to rotate the ball more. They need to get more pick and roll buckets. They need to get more. Anthony Davis was 0 of 5 from 3. You know, he shot 8 of 24 from the field. And LeBron James could do 23, 17, 16, all he wants off of 9 of 20 from shooting. Everything is inefficient from a shooting range.
All right.
Everyone was bad. Everyone on that court, that basketball court, was horrible shooting. Every single one of them. I don't know what it is. I think that they're just it's a filling out process of like offense. It's like boxing, but it's just like it's calculated, just combinations, you know. So we'll see more from what this is. This is an interesting series. I think that Damian Lillard has enough to carry them to another game, but I still think that the Lakers will win it overall in 6.
Right. All right. So let's move on to these other games. Let's talk some more interesting ones. Let's talk Clippers, Mavs, Thunder, Rockets.
Whew. The Clippers, Mavs. I think the Clippers. This is the best case scenario for the Clippers because this gets them ready going forward. They're the better team, far better team. But I think Porzingis is a matchup problem. I think Luka's is a matchup problem.
I mean, he dropped 42.
Yeah.
This is his like what playoff debut or something.
He's a bad dude. But I think that at first, if you watch the game at the beginning, I think Luka might have had 4 turnovers the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
They were in his head. But then
the team overall got 21 turnovers. So
Luka had a big part of that early because they were all over. But I think that Luka, being a player Luka is, he stepped up and realized that I play in the same ballpark with these dudes, and he started giving them buckets. He started giving them problems. That's going to help them going forward because when you see a LeBron James, when you see a James Harden, when you see a Russell Westbrook, those guys are more explosive than Luka, but they're all around the same ilk. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Pat Bev, they as great the defenders they are, they need to kind of get their feet wet. They need to kind of get that feel of that kind of talented player that they're gonna have to run a series with. So when they progress, when they get to the next series, even with Denver playing a Michael Porter Jr., he's a lot bigger than Luka, but he offers the same type of skill set as far as versatility and overall all around stuff. I think the Mavericks outside of Luka and Porzingis aren't enough to beat the Clippers. I think you put a different core. Like if you give the Mavs the Clippers core and the Clippers the Mavs core, I think it's switched. I think the Mavs come away victorious. It's just I think right now the Clippers are so much more of a developed team, and the 2 biggest problems that they're going to see going forward are guys that are all around perimeter players like Luka and a strong big man like they may have to do with Anthony Davis. Now Anthony Davis is a unicorn in his own right, but he's no 7'3" like Porzingis.
right.
Porzingis is a different animal, especially when if there's a lack that the Clippers have, it's size. I don't think they really have big men outside of Zubac that can really defend, and he's not really a defender either. But he's going to have to stick Porzingis a little bit. So I think once they, I think by Zubac being able to guard Porzingis, if they do have to deal with Anthony Davis, it's going to be a lot easier to him because he had to deal with a big that can work a little bit with size, a big that can step out a little bit and hit the perimeter jump shots that can put it on the floor. All these things that Porzingis and Luka do for the Clippers at least gets them prepared for the next step and the next step and the next step. I think the difference between them and LA is um, dealing with a Damian Lillard is something complete. It's a whole different animal. You
Right.
don't have the guards that can
That
stick
can
him.
stick to him.
LA don't have that. The Clippers do. So if the Clippers looking at a Dame Lillard, we got Pat Bev, we can throw in. We got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard that can kind of neutralize that. LA doesn't have that kind of arsenal for what Portland gives them. So just like anything else, it's about matchups. And again, that's why I do think that it can be a Kimba-like run that takes some places because it comes down to matchups.
All right. What about you, Marvell?
I think it's that what the Mavericks can do, spreading the floor, having a lot of shooters. They're very aggressive with their shooting, and that's going to throw any defensive team off guard. But the Clippers are so defensively talented overall that I think that it should be a very difficult series for the Dallas Mavericks. Granted, they do have the size matchup with Chris and that's Porzingis, and Porzingis is shown that he's a great side piece for the Dallas Mavericks to have for their future, and for Doncic to take over and the main piece for their future with their pick and roll style and their spread offense. Um, it's going to be a tough matchup for anybody. And Luka Doncic with him being able to score from anywhere, and Porzingis being able for him to be 7-3, like T was saying, and having that advantage of the matchup over the smaller team of the the Clippers. They're going to be a very formidable team, especially offensively. Um, I just think that Paul George shooting that dagger in the first game, they just have a lot more clutch players. They just have on the both ends of the floor, and they have a lot more playoff experience. Not as a team, but as individuals. They're seasoned. They're a lot more capable of what they've shown in the past of what they can do as a group, as a unit, and proceed to possibly standing up to the NBA Finals.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking at it for the Mavs, and I'm thinking, why not just go a little smaller? Instead of having Seth Curry come off the bench, why not play him at point? Then put Tim at shooting guard and Luca at what is it, power small forward. Like play a little smaller
There's
because
plenty of
that
ways
seemed to
they
be
can
their
go.
scorers right there.
They can give Trey Burke some more minutes.
Yeah.
He's been playing lights out with the minutes he's been given. So I mean, there's definitely ways they can go with it. I just think that Dallas at this point is at that first stage of potential greatness. Like I
All right.
think Dallas is going to set themselves up for being a contender for the next 5 to 10 years if they do this the right way. I just think right now you're going through, and with this world being so quick twitch, everything has to be right now, right now, right now. We tend to forget that there are growing pains. There are stages that teams go through that take them to that next level. What the Mavericks are doing is, what many teams have done before. They've started off at that bottom floor, that A7 seed, and then they next year you look up there to 4 or 5. Then you look up the year after that, they're 1-2, and that staying power gets to stay there with them as long as you get the pieces around them. I think with two unicorn type of players, you need to find the right kind of mix to put around them. And then when the veteran teams start to come down a little bit, then you could be able to kind of take your rightful place. I think the Clippers are right now just too seasoned. Like Marvell was saying, that there are so much playoff experience for them. They've been in a lot of big games. They played a lot of tough matchups. They don't have the championship hardware for it, but they've been in big games. Dallas is foreign to them. They don't know what they don't know. This is their first taste of it, and they're going to have a lot more of that. They just, the Clippers, just like The Clippers are, just like the Mavericks are a great matchup for the Clippers and what they're trying to do. The Clippers are a great matchup for the Mavericks because they're going to go into the summer knowing this is what a great team looks like. This is what you need to do to win in the playoffs. What we're going to do to get there. And I mean, it's exciting to see. As far as Oklahoma and Houston goes, that's the matchup I wanted. Absolutely. Just because of the trade situation.
Yeah, like a little storyline.
Yeah, just because of that. Now it sucks that Russell Westbrook's hurt; he can't play, at least right now. But as Game One showed with the Rockets, they didn't need him.
Right.
I thought the Rockets were far away the better team. Going into what I was saying about Billy Donovan earlier, this is where the buck stops. You're going to be a great regular season team. You're going to get a high seed in the playoffs. Matchup withstanding, like if they would have got Utah, they would have had a chance to win it. At least a round. Then I wouldn't have around this time. They're still a good team. You still have talent, but you need star power. James Harden is a star among stars, and right now he's the best player on the floor. He can carry them where they need to go to, and this first game showed that Houston looks like the superior team, especially when Eric Gordon is giving you what Eric Gordon can give you, and if Russell Westbrook can come back healthy the way he needs to come back, this Houston Rockets team can be really scary. But I think that they had to set the tone for Oklahoma, and they did.
So you saying Western Conference Finals? You gonna confirm what Logan always been saying?
I'm not gonna breathe too much for Logan on this one. I think size is gonna come into play.
Right.
Either way, if LA or Portland wins, I think at some point in time that small ball is not gonna be able to work. It can take you so far, which Oklahoma City, outside of Steven Adams, which hey, by all means, if Steven Adams is going for 35 and 15 or something like that, if you're Houston, you let him have that because he's taking the ball out of Russell Westbrook's hand. He's taking the ball out of Chris Paul's hand. He's taking the ball out of Schroeder's hand. He's taking the ball out of SGA's hands. You want Steven Adams to take advantage of that matchup because it's going to slow the game down. It's taking them out what they want to do. You don't want that to happen in Portland. You don't want that to happen in LA. So I think when Houston sees one of those two teams, which will be the inevitable once they, get rid of Oklahoma, that's where the buck stops here for them. Buck stops here for Oklahoma against Houston, but next round.
All right. What about you, Marvell?
And with looking at Houston and what they've done in Game 1 with Eric Gordon playing 30 minutes, having 21 points, 7 of 17 from the field, and 2 of 6 from 3, but hitting 5 of 5 with his free throws, that's a great pairing for James Harden. A couple years of experience together. Eric Gordon's had some flashes of his old game, not necessarily with the athleticism, but with just the efficiency of and with him being able to score. Jeff Green with 32 minutes with 22 points, 6 rebounds and 4 assists, came through well. With 8 of 12 from the field goal and 3 of 7 from 3 and 3 of 4 from free throw. They don't get to the line a lot unless it's Harden, because they're such a spread offense, and just an iso ball type of team. But they're a very efficient team running through how they run their offense with Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni is a coach that doesn't have the highest success in the playoffs, but he runs his offense very well, and James Harden runs the offense very well. That's what the most difficult part is going to be for the Thunder, who had Gilgeous Alexander, I'm sorry, went 2 of 8 playing 35 minutes and had only 9 points. It's unacceptable, and he needs to be that person to step up. It can't be just Delino Gallinari with 33 minutes with 29 points. We get that. He's a great shooter. He's starting to become a good scorer at this point. He's always had that, but it's shown flashes, especially for the Oklahoma City team. But, it's starting to look like Chris Paul's alone again. And you need to just feed Steven Adams more. Who's going to guard him? Who's going to guard him?
I mean, that's a good point. They got Robert Covington on him. He only 6'7".
Right. I mean, that's a solid body for sure, but that's not a center. That's 6'7" against 6'11". Body
they
him.
got
and he did great with 17 and 12, 17 not 7 of 13 from the field. 3 of 6 from free throw. So if you've played through him more and just play through, just beat them through physical play. That's what you got to do against them because they don't have a big. Right. The playoffs are a lot slower of a game, so it's a lot more physical of a game. So body him. You got to take it to old 1990s basketball. You have to play boring, but win dirty. Win is in that.
Hold on, what?
Like I'm talking about as
Play
far as like
boring, win
dirty work,
dirty.
like post work.
Let's get
They
dirty.
not about to
dirty,
let that happen.
dirty. Let's get
I
dirty.
mean, what are they going to do?
I
Mike
mean,
D'Antoni is an offensive coach, so he's going to have some defensive trouble.
we
Throw them
saw.
off.
What was it? I don't even remember what game it was. It was Celtics 76ers. Sixers. It was Al Horford. He grabbed Jalen Brown, right? Threw him to the ground. Uh, that's playing dirty right there in a way. They got him a flagrant one.
No,
You saw what happens.
that's not what I mean by dirty.
So what do you mean by dirty?
I'm talking like dirty work, like post work, like
Oh, okay.
Slow it down.
You talking
Yeah.
about down in the
play gritty.
okay.
Dirty.
Yeah,
Well,
play
since
gritty.
I mentioned the 76ers and Celtics, let's go there.
Interesting series. Ben Simmons is out though, so that's what kind of makes it a lot more interesting.
I mean, Embiid went off though.
Embiid, with that step back three that he hit, that was nasty because that was a rainbow. That was gross.
I think Embiid was always going to have the matchups. It was just the others, everybody else. With Ben Simmons being out, that's what really hurt him. Because that's that second star. Now, granted, rather they played well with each other the whole time, or rather, you think one is better than without the other, or whatever the case may be. Those two were the star power that you needed. With Ben Simmons being out, they don't have the depth that Philly would need to take them to that next level. I think Embiid was always going to have that matchup. But again, it to me it's always about the others. It's always about everybody else. So I think the Celtics have way more others. They have other people that can give you buckets. Even though with Gordon Hayward being out for the next month now, him getting injured, I still think that Boston has enough to compensate for.
Yeah, like that doesn't really slow him down. As long as they got Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and Kemba Walkers, they should be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Ben Simmons was that much more important to Philly's cause, and by the fact that he's not there, that was going to instantly give him that loss because that's that other piece that they need. Tobias Harris can do what he does, but you need Ben Simmons to be that kind of facilitator because he can score. He can go for 30, 35, somewhere around there, but he's more of a facilitator that gets his buckets when he needs to get his buckets. Tobias Harris is more of the scorer, so your roles become more defined. Now Al Horford has to move up. Now, you know what I'm saying? The rest of the bench has to move up a spot. Nobody's in their right role. I think Boston was just trying to put all their talented players out there at first. Gordon Hayward being out, that just opens up the game for Jason Tatum. That opens up for Jalen Brown. That opens up minutes for Marcus Smart. Brad Wanamaker might get more minutes. It's just so many different ways that they can go because they have the depth to be able to compensate for that when Philly does not. So I think Boston showed that they're a superior team game one. I still think Philly gets a game because Embiid is going to be at some point too much. Like Embiid has one of them 40, 15, 17, 5 block games that, takes them where they need to be. So I think that he will continue to have his matchup and be able to do his thing, but I still think Boston comes away victorious with that whole series.
All right. What about you, Marvel?
I think that Embiid is going to show flashes of him needing to be the number one option on that team, just like what T said, having those 40-point, 17 rebound, 5 block a game. He's going to have a few of those. Granted, too, I also agree that I'm going with the Celtics in the series, but in game one, the one thing that stood out to me the most was Philly had 18 turnovers and allowed 12 steals. That's terrible. They need to figure out what they need to do to slow their pace down or whatever they need to do to stop turning the ball over. They need to be more careful, more cautious because you can't turn the ball over against a team like a Boston, especially a well-coached Boston, a healthy Boston. You can't do it. It's going to be detrimental. It's an 8-point difference. Other than that, and also making their threes, they went 9 to 27 from three. That's 33%, granted, but they didn't even make double digits in threes. They're not. They need to go inside with what T was saying. They have they have the Embiid advantage always, especially in the East. Embiid is a top 2 center in the league. You know, and he's one of the best offensive, if not the best offensive big in the league. So they need to capitalize on that. And he's the best big in the East. So he has the potential. He has the outside game. He has the inside game.
Wait, hold up. You said the best big in the East?
Yes.
We're not counting Giannis as a big?
Well, as far I was saying, like as far as centers.
Okay. All right.
I'll say centers specifically.
All right. Keep going then.
So yeah, top 2 big in the East. There we go. So they need to take advantage, and then B needs to know, like, hey, bro, our man is down. The one that's next to you is down. We need you to step up. We need great performances out of you. The workload for Tobias Harris needs to slow down. That way, so Embiid can pick up. With Embiid picking up, it'll relieve less tension for Tobias Harris, because Tobias Harris has always been sneaky. He's always had a sneaky game. He'll give you a 20 or 25, and it's just like, how? Like, you barely notice it. You've seen him have like highlight plays or this, that, and the other, but it's just like, oh, he had that. So yeah, with that being said, we need to make him a little bit more quieter, even though he's the second option or the third option of how you wanted to have it. But right now, he needs to be the second option, and the bench needs to step up completely. So yeah, they're not that far off against Boston. Defensively, they're great. Defensively, they can stop Boston. And offensively, they can have the firepower to dominate if they dominate correctly. But I still have the Celtics winning this series in 6 or maybe 7.
Okay. So let's just let's just knock this one out, because we only got 3 more left. So we're gonna keep going. But we're gonna start with Toronto and Brooklyn. I feel like that's the easiest one to talk about. That's just like Brooklyn's overmatched.
I came home and I thought Brooklyn stole something.
I saw that you posted that.
I said, hold on, bro. What they do to you? What they say about your mama? But Toronto did what Milwaukee supposed to do.
All right.
You come through, you dominate. Now, granted, Brooklyn made a run, but if I'm beating you by 30, make that run. So you can still be down with 9. We turn it back around to 18, and we call it a day. Shout out to Brooklyn, just in general, from the bubble to up until now, because they had every reason to not bring their A game. They had every reason to pack it up and go home, try to make a day
all
of
their
it.
stars ain't even playing.
But they didn't do that. Like, I'm gonna always respect somebody that tries. At the end of the day, rather you try and you fail, you tried, and I can respect that. And Brooklyn has definitely done that. But again, you're going to reach a certain point that your talent is just not going to be enough. And I think Toronto is a well-oiled machine. I think Toronto knows that they do need that rest that Milwaukee could use, because that's what it is. It's an arm race. You all are dealing with the same situation now. It's going to take that little edge that's going to get you where you need to be. That edge might be 2 or 3 days of extra practice time or rest. Toronto can get that if they sweep and we go on about their day. If Boston has a 6 or 7 game series, that don't do nothing but help Toronto. If Milwaukee, the longer they go with Toronto, if I'm in that Eastern Conference Finals, if I'm in that Eastern Conference Finals, I want you tired. I want you mentally not there. I want to have the fresh legs. So Toronto's doing what they need to do, and I can definitely shout them out for that.
Okay. What about you, Marvel?
The biggest difference that I see with the roster matchups is Toronto's bigs. They're not going to have an answer for the Brooklyn Nets are not going to have an answer for anything. Because when you look at it, Serge Ibaka, 26 minutes from the bench, 22.7. He was looking like the old Serge Ibaka from the Thunder days. And I was appreciating that 8 of 14 from the field. And they're shooting very efficiently. And that's very dangerous for anybody. I don't think that they have an answer for Van Fleet. I don't think that the Brooklyn Nets backcourt's defense is good enough to hold, especially if Lowry has a good game when he didn't. 3 of 14 from the field, but you know that he's going to shoot. He's the leader of the team, but he knows that he needs to pick it up, and he's been in these situations before. He's had a lot of playoff experience. And with Kyle Lowry picking up, and then having Van Fleet having another 30-ball game with 11 assists, 11 of 15, 8 of 10 from 3, having another game like that, he's going to shine. This is his series. I think this is Fred VanVleet's series. This is where he shows out, and I think he's on his contract year.
Yep.
He's on his contract year, so this is his series to show that I'm somewhere in staple, possibly, to show that I'm an important piece. Pascal Siakam didn't shoot very efficiently, but still had 18 of 11. You know, that's still phenomenal numbers. I don't think that Brooklyn has an answer for anything that can stop consistently on either side of the bigs or the small. So it's going to be a very tough series for Brooklyn, especially without either star players or a lot of their players. And it's unfortunate for them, but they're going to be an easy out.
Okay. Well, let's pick it up a little and talk about who we got left. Nuggets, Jazz, Heat, Pacers.
Two evenly matched matchups for the most part.
Nuggets.
The Nuggets and the Jazz definitely there. This is gonna be a fun series. I just think that they match up perfectly.
Right.
Any given day, you can feel like you have the advantage. I think with the Jazz, they need somebody other than Donovan Mitchell to consistently give them buckets. Again, if Mike Conley can come back and be the Mike Conley we know he can be, that may be the guy. That may be the extra edge. Denver, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. They're evolving. They're probably still ahead of schedule in all reality. But Denver has to really be taken seriously. They have to come out and establish their dominance. They did that in game one. They had a good game plan for everybody outside of Donovan Mitchell. I think they need to defend him better. If nothing else, you need to throw more bodies on him to make him work for a little extra hard. But I think at the end of the day, they have so much firepower. Utah has the type of firepower that they need. But I think with Bogdanovich being out and Conley missing time, by the time he comes back, it may be too late. So it's just a matter of what can you do when Conley gets back? Can you still be in the hunt when Conley comes back? Like you cannot go 0-2 against Denver at this point. Utah,
Right.
this is as early as a must-win game can be. They're in it right now. So I think it was a great game. I think the game one, it's pretty much indicative of how this series is going to go for me. I think it's so evenly matched, and you're going to need extra time. A couple more games, I think it may be, because those teams are so neck and neck.
All right. What about you? This your team right here.
Yeah, this is my team, man. I'm happy, but here's the thing: the scenario before the playoffs started, it was either going to be the Utah Jazz to see the Denver Nuggets, or it was going to be the Dallas Mavericks. I didn't want to see the Utah Jazz, but I didn't want to see the Dallas Mavericks more. So I was picking the lesser of the two evils, and I knew that we could have a stronger possibility of beating Utah. Utah is too dependent on one person to be their offense. Their second leading scorer, I believe, is probably Gobert with his dirty buckets of 15 points. You know, that's not going to be enough to beat Denver. Denver, as long as they can hit their shots, and granted, they were having a very, very hot night from three. Their season average, I believe, of made threes, I believe, was 11. They hit 11 in the first 13 to 14 minutes of the game. You're not going to always have that. Like, you're not going to always have Donovan Mitchell dropping 57 and his career high of 38 within less than 5 minutes left in the regulation. You're not going to always have that. And especially because I think a key factor for Denver was we're missing that Big Ten defense of Gary Harris. Gary Harris is a very, very underrated defender, a perimeter defender. But I feel that That would change, but also Mike Conley would make a bigger difference because of how the game ended. It ended by 10. That was a deficit. Mike Conley can get you a solid 13. That right there could be a major difference, especially defensively on the perimeter as well, with someone that could be a body of Mike. Oh, not Mike Conley, but Jamal Murray.
Right.
With Jamal Murray hitting so many clutch shots and then playing two ball with him and Jokic. So you have to figure out a plan of trying to figure out how to get them out the perimeter if you were them. So I think that this series is going to be incredibly tough for Denver. I think this could possibly go to 7.
Possibly.
I give it to Denver in 7, but soon as 6.
All right, so let's talk the other evenly matchup, Heat and Pacers, and then we gonna quickly do predictions.
I don't want to call it beef. I mean, I love competition, man. I love it. So I know Jimmy Butler's. He's now talking about like, oh, we ain't worried about the TJ one. Yeah, you are. There's still a little something out there, and I love it though. As long as you can keep it between the lines. I think before that's where they screwed up at. They didn't keep it between the lines. It was some meet me outside talk. Cash me outside. How about that talk? It was a lot of
You could have left that back in 2015,
no,
bro.
I'll bring it here
That's crazy.
Why?
because that's what we do here.
That's what we do here.
That's
That's
what
what
we do
you do
Yeah,
here.
that's
Don't
what
put
you do.
we in it.
We
I'm not French, bro. This
we,
ain't no
we
we.
a team. Don't you?
I don't know.
No, now it's just me. Oh, it's
Yeah,
it's the open gym.
You out here
crew.
turning the ball
It's the
over.
open gym crew.
You over here turning the ball over.
Now it's just okay. All right.
You Ricky Davis of the team right now.
I'm gonna do this by myself. Then
You Ricky Davis of the
next
team.
week, y'all. Just me. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be there.
You're Ricky Davis right now.
Because I just do it by myself. Huh? I don't need no.
You're
other
bricking
team
your
to
own
do it.
shots.
All right. Anyway,
It was a turnover, man.
This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yes, bro. Like we're down by 5.
Anyway, the cash me outside is now outside. They're now there. There's no, I'm going back to Indiana. I'm going back to Miami. I'm doing it. No. We're all here. We're all in the same place. Let's get it on. Let's get it popping. And obviously, game 1 went to Miami. And I don't think necessarily Indiana can. Yeah, they lost. They should feel some type of way. I get it, but they're also without. They don't have Sabonis anymore. They don't have. They didn't have Oladipo last game either. Most of it because he hurt his cornea. So I think that again, with
his cornea too.
yeah, I think with teams being so evenly matched, it's one of those things where injury here or somebody being out is, it changes the whole course of the game. So I think that Miami's healthy. They're healthy at the right time. They have Iguodala now. Bam Adebayo's playing his tail off. Goran Dragic, I think he had 24 that game. They still have Duncan Robinson who hit timely shots. Tyler Hero's playing good ball. Kendrick Nunn hardly even played that game. That just goes to show you how deftly that
He's not on the stat.
Yeah, he didn't play at all.
He didn't play at all. Okay. Yeah. That just goes to show you the depth that Miami team has. That, as you see, the top 3 Rookie of the Year candidate didn't even play. I thought I'd seen him for a little spurt. I guess I didn't. But it's the depth that Indiana doesn't have because they're out there putting the Holiday brothers out there. I think Edward Sumner played some minutes with Indiana. That shouldn't be. And now they have to do that when they didn't have that much margin for error. Indiana's probably going to get bounced by Miami, but it's going to be circumstantial, So it should have been a better matchup. And hopefully Oladipo can come back. And if he does, that can kind of still give Indiana a fighting chance. But I think ultimately Miami just has too much for them.
All right. What about you, Marvell?
I think that the Indiana Pacers need to play more bigs. That's a one thing that stands out to me. Looking at the stats here with Jimmy Butler, 37 minutes with 28 points. Shot pretty good, 8 of 15. Tyler Hero coming off the bench of their 6, 34 minutes, 15, 3 and 4, 4 and 9 for shit, 1 and 5 for 3. These are weirdly ran teams offensively, both of them. Like I don't know what vibe I get from them. Oladipo played 9 minutes, so you kind of wonder what's going to go on there. and you wonder about his health and what his impact is going to be on this team in the series. You want to proceed. You want to beat Miami. This is a great opportunity for you guys to show that you guys have improved, or you guys have shown some type of fight, or you guys have shown that they have a pretty good roster. The roster is not that bad. I think the rotation's kind of weird. Miles Turner needs to play a lot better. His matchup is Bam Adebayo, but you gonna have to live through that. He plays tough defense. He's a great defender, but he's gonna have to pick it up a little bit offensively. And I thought he would for the past couple of years, and he didn't. Not officially yet, but T.J. Warren and Malcolm Brogdon both playing 38, 39 minutes. Brogdon got 22 and 10 assists. Warren had 22 points as well. They're kind of looking like Dame and CJ in a sense of they had like a mediocre game in their eyes. You know what I mean? And It's just not. It's not going to be enough. They need some type of like staple. They need some type of glue. Like I need Miles Turner to be some type of like Rudy Gobert kind of glue. That's what they need, especially the matchup against one of the best defensive teams in the league in Miami. Their weirdly ran offense can be stopped because if you kind of shut down Goran Dragic, who's more of the best shooter on their starting lineup or the most experienced one in their starting lineup, if you take him away, you have to force Jimmy Butler to play offense. That's not his strength all the way. So that's what they need to do to play defensively. They need to be more defensive.
Okay, so to end off the show, let's do some predictions. I'll start it off. Well, let's just do the whole series predictions. So I'm gonna start it off. I got the Nuggets taking it against the Jazz in probably 6. I got the Raptors, and is it still 2? It's still 4, right? They're not changing that, right?
No, 4 out of 7. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I got the Raptors in 4. I got the Celtics in 6. I got the Clippers in probably 5. I feel like the Mavs could get one game at least. I got the Bucks and I want to say 5, but if you letting Terrence Ross, DJ Augustine, if you letting them get off, I don't know. The Bucks is looking scary for me a little bit. I got the Heat in probably about 6 because the Pacers they could show up, show out. I got the Rockets in maybe 4 because Chris Paul's not enough for the Thunder. And I got the Lakers, and I feel like the Lakers could go to 7. So I got the Lakers in 7.
Let's see. So you said Denver was the first game, right?
Yeah.
I would say we'll give Conley the benefit of the doubt. Say Denver in 7.
Okay.
Let's read off the
Nets, Raptors.
Raptors 4.
Okay. Celtics, 76ers.
6.
All right. Mavericks, Clippers.
5.
Magic, Bucks.
5.
Okay. Heat, Pacers.
Oh, excuse me, Bucks 5.
Oh, that's one. Heat, Pacers.
Heat 6.
Okay. Thunder, Rockets.
Rockets 5.
Okay. Trailblazers, Lakers.
Ugh.
It's a tough one.
It's tough because I want to be the analyst and say Lakers 7 because I still believe that, but I kind of want to say what I want to see. That's Portland in 7. I'll just keep my analyst hat on Lakers 7.
Okay. What about you, Marvell? You want me to read them off for you guys?
Please read them off.
All right. Jazz, Nuggets.
Nuggets 6, depending on what Conley does 7.
Okay. Nets, Raptors.
Raptors 5.
All right. Celtics, 76ers.
Celtics 6.
Mavericks, Clippers.
Clippers 6.
Magic, Bucks.
Bucks 5.
Heat, Pacers.
Heat 5.
Thunder, Rockets,
Rockets 5.
Trailblazers, Lakers.
Lakers 6.
All right, okay. I think we all had the same picks for the most part.
Same picks, but different.
Yeah,
numbers.
different numbers, different outcomes. All right, well that's the end of our show. Any last thoughts? Last thing you want to say? Shout
Check
out.
us out. Same place, same time, same channel next week. But as far as tomorrow, me and Rondell welcome Coach back to the Nutty North Show, 12 o'clock.
Are we doing the Nutty North?
Yeah, we're doing Nutty North.
All right.
Find a little something to talk about. It's not as nutty at the moment, but we get some North to talk about. But that we have that. And any other show on Scoring There, we always have a plethora of shows. We have the Ohio Bias show coming up here very shortly. We just have a lot of stuff. Just keep your stuff on Scoring There Network. Tune in, show some love. Don't be a hater. Share, like, support. We out here.
I mean, you can be a hater all you want to. Just know we gonna succeed.
Yeah, we are, but still, hate while you share something. I wouldn't even mind if you share it with hate, as long as you shared it.
All right. Well, from us, we'll see y'all next week. Talk more basketball, more playoffs.